Malta publishes new travel rules obliging booster for Maltese vaccine certificate holders. Malta's schools will start new term online but reopen on 10 January. Malta finds 1,403 COVID-19 cases in new single-day record. All this and more on Lovin Daily. Good evening and welcome to the final edition of Lovin Daily of the year. I'm Tim Diacono and we've got quite a few stories to discuss today. So first of all, the Health Ministry has published new rules for travel into Malta on its website. No statement was issued, no press conference, no legal notice was published, but the Health Ministry's website has said that as of 17th January, Maltese vaccine certificate holders, that means people who have or in possession of a vaccine certificate issued by the Maltese health authorities, these certificates will only be valid to avoid quarantine upon entry to Malta if you've had the booster dose, the vaccine booster dose administered not more than 9 months previously, or you've had the second or first dose of the other vaccine administered not more than 3 months previously. Maltese residents returning back to Malta after 17 January will be given a 2-week grace period ending on the 1st of February, which means that after 1st of February, every holder of a Maltese vaccine certificate who enters Malta without these requirements will have to quarantine for 2 whole weeks. The rules are quite unclear as to whether these rules will also apply to foreign vaccine certificates, whether a tourist coming to Malta with a vaccine certificate that is valid by their country after having taken the second dose of the vaccine, whether these will still be recognized or whether this only applies to Maltese vaccine certificate holders. It's certainly going to encourage or incentivize more people to take the booster, because it essentially means if you don't get the booster, you can't travel without quarantining upon your return. But there are serious questions that need to be asked, and it's sad really to see that updates like this are issued that really impact people's lives without much detail and transparency. We've been 2 years into this now. Surely some lessons have been learned. New rules have also been announced in terms of schools. So schools are going to be reopening on the 10th of January physically. There was a meeting held between the Education Ministry, the teachers' unions, the Malta Teachers Union of Teachers, and the stakeholders from state, independent and church schools, and a compromise was reached. On 10th of January, schools will reopen physically. Any lessons before that will be held online, and during this online period, schools will have a chance to assess how many of their teachers are in quarantine or on sick leave. If after the online period they've come to the conclusion that there aren't enough teachers for a particular class or a group or an entire school even, then that school or the section of the school will remain online beyond 10th January. Childcare centres have also delayed their opening period till 10th January. University, it's a little bit more confusing because it's going to be up to the individual faculties to decide. So practical lessons will be held on campus, obviously, but whether the decision as to whether lectures will be held online or on campus, it's up to the individual faculty to decide. So if you're a student, you should probably expect some update from your faculty in the very near future. Exams will be held on campus. As for quarantine students, they will be able to sit for the exams a few weeks after the original period, not in September as as had originally been proposed. So that's the latest update with regards to schooling, and I'm sure we'll be hearing more about it in the coming weeks. And the context to all of this is that, as I'm sure you know, Malta is witnessing an unprecedented rise, a spike in COVID-19 cases. A new record was reached today. 1,403 new COVID-19 cases were found in the past 24 hours. A 62-year-old patient with the virus has died, and 98 more people have recovered. So there are currently 100 people hospitalized who have COVID-19, and out of whom 8 are receiving intensive care. So while the figures may seem to be quite bleak on the face of it, and that's fair enough, there is some. It's worth saying that there is some good news circulating overseas as well. That some people are beginning to speak quite openly about the Omicron variant of the virus. So South Africa, with the first country to identify the variant, said today that the fourth wave had passed. They were going to be easing certain restrictions they had put in place, and that there was a lower rate of hospitalization than in previous waves. German virology expert Christian Drosten said that Omicron can actually turn the pandemic into an endemic, into a manageable situation, and that winter could be manageable. And Israel has also started purchasing Pfizer's new anti-COVID-19 pill, Paxlovid. So these are all positive signs to keep in mind heading into 2022. Whether this will be the year the pandemic is officially over. I know many people are waiting for this, for the official declaration that it's over. It could be next year. Let us know what you think in the comments below. But it's something I think we're all desperately wishing to see, and there is good news potentially pointing in that direction as well. It has to be said. Moving on to an unrelated topic, Mark Camilleri, the author of the book Rent Seeker's Paradise, sat down to a very lengthy interview with John Malia, where he discussed many political topics, but one topic that they delved at length into was that of Joseph Muscat, the former Prime Minister. And Mark Camilleri is quite adamant, calling in his description of Muscat as a criminal. He said he regrets supporting him as a Labour, not only a Labour supporter but also a former Labour delegate. And he also issued a sort of warning about Joseph Muscat's political future. He said, when he issued that threat to the Times of Malta, in his last interview, that he could re-enter politics whenever he wants to, he means it. And I don't underestimate him. That's what Mark Camilleri said. And his suggestion is that if Joseph Muscat is really feeling the threat of legal persecution, that is in some legal trouble, he will re-enter politics. This is Mark Camilleri's theory, obviously, and he's drawing parallels to what Silvio Berlusconi had done in Italy. And he's also saying that even if he re-enters politics, it might not necessarily be with the Labour Party, it could be with someone else, and many people will support him anyway. So yeah, let us know what you think. Is a political comeback for Joseph Muscat likely? Would you even want to see that happen, or is it time to move on? Finally, someone who definitely is moving out of national politics at least is Marsa Scala Mayor Mario Calleja, who had a golden opportunity to enter Parliament after Labour MP Silvio Grishti resigned. It could have triggered the casual election, and according to the votes that were received in the last general election in 2017, Mario Calleja would have been the clear frontrunner to replace him. However, he decided not to contest, and the reason he gave, we spoke to him today, is that the next election is only a few months away. He has no intention of contesting it, and therefore that would mean he would have to give up his position as mayor, which he likes, for a very brief tenure in Parliament, um, and then he will not contest the next election. So what that means is that the seat will be there'll be a co-option. What a co-option means is that the party literally gets to handpick whoever they want into the role. It is a process of democracy, but it's being used quite a lot recently, and it's actually going to be the 5th co-option under Robert Abela. So under the past 2 years, and there'll be 5 MPs from the Labour Party at least who have been chosen personally by the Prime Minister without the people having a chance to decide who they want. There is a democratic debate to be had about this. Certainly, the kind of using democracy perhaps to undermine democracy, you could say. Then again, as you also understand that the Prime Minister is in a bit of an uncomfortable situation because he didn't pick the candidates from the 2017 election. This is a government that started mid-administration after the resignation of Joseph Muscat. So the favourites that have been touted are Andy Elul, Rebecca Buttigieg and Romilda Zarbs. So one of those will potentially become Malta's newest MP in the coming weeks. And that's it from us today. On behalf of the Lovin Malta team, I'd like to wish you all a happy new year. Whether you're staying in tonight or whether you're going out, hope you enjoy it, and see you next year. It's going to be quite a big year. Obviously, there's the general election that's going to be happening in Malta. The COVID-19 situation isn't going to go away anytime soon, and we'll be with you through it all. And until then, have an evening full of loving.